Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here with yet another tropical weather outlook and discussion here, because the tropical activity is coming back once again and looks a little bit interesting out there. I'm not seeing really anything too impactful just yet, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. Now, moving on with our current satellite imagery out there across the wide open Atlantic. I'm hoping you all can see this very well. We are talking about a very vigorous tropical wave currently coming off of Africa that I'm going to mark in orange because we do have, I believe, a 40 to a 50% chance of development right down there. And that is going to be moving off into this general vicinity right here and could potentially threaten the Lesser Antilles way down the line, though there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to that. That's something to note. Then, of course, off to the west, we do have something near Florida, but I do not anticipate that to form. That's why it was marked green in the thumbnail instead of yellow, like the National Hurricane Center has it marked over here on the side. So that is something to note there. And right here is your system. Again, I don't expect that to do all that much. We're going to start off by taking a look at weather-wise here, and this is our National Hurricane Center's areas of interest here. We're going to take a look at our moderate area right within here that is anticipated to track off generally to the northwest into this giant orange blob right here. And this is expected to continue doing something like this, though this right here, this turn is not a forecast, but I have seen it being alluded by multiple models and multiple model members that we could potentially see a bit of a curve off to the north at the last second, though again, not a forecast because we're too far out. Now, moving on through with our second area of interest here, the one near Florida. It's very uncertain to say exactly where it is. It could be right within here, but it's anticipated to move off in this general direction and do something like this, though again, I really do not think this is going to form. I'm giving this a 5% chance of formation rather than a 10%. It just does not look likely at this time, but again, check back later because things could change. We are now going to move on with our European ensemble model here. So these are all going to be individual members that we're going to look at, and you can see little area of interest out here near Florida. We only have one member showing potentially a tropical depression, but that is about it. That thing dies off rapidly. Something in the Gulf that probably won't get marked, though, since that one out there near Bahamas and Florida did. It wouldn't be shocking to see that get a 10% area as well. That does move on through. And then here we go, our main system. This will be our moderate chance of development out here in our main development region. If my pen tool would work, this is anticipated, like I said, to move off in this general direction here. We are seeing a few members showing development here. Again, we're not seeing 6 tropical systems. This is 6 different members showing development. As we go through time, this does take a relatively southward track, and by the time we reach Thursday and Friday, we do have a few members going right through the Lesser Antilles right here, the northern portion, but I'd say the grand majority of them do stay off to the north, though caution, again, I want to say this, these members are likely developing this system a little too quickly out here as we have a lot of dry air and some wind shear to contend with, because again, our Atlantic is very unfavorable right now in this general area here across your MDR. That is something to note. As we continue on through, you can see a bit of a split right here, but after a while, all of your members here do curve this out to sea, and that is a possibility. I don't want to say a likelihood, but you know, with how this season has gone, it wouldn't shock me to see that, and then maybe stuff later down the road, but not a forecast. All right, and now as we do move on to tropical tidbits here, we're looking at our deterministic European model, and I had to switch scenes there. I literally forgot, and I recorded about 5 minutes, and then that was about it. But you can see our tropical system right down here in your northern Lesser Antilles on this model, not becoming strong at all, so much different than our other models. Pen, is the pen going to work here? That we're suggesting something a little bit stronger and curving out to sea a lot faster. But I will tell you this, we do have a very big troughing system that does develop up here that is likely going to yank this out to sea here on this model run. It could do something kind of this number here. But again, this is very far out. We're over 10 days out, and so things can and will change. So it is important to not look at all these fine details just yet. But again, curving out to sea definitely would not rule that out. And then maybe something in the Caribbean. I was thinking about marking a green area down there, a 5% chance, but wasn't quite sold because of our AI model data. How about our GEFS model here? We are not seeing too much development until here. We do have some development. And then back here, we do have another system trying to form mysteriously here north of the Bahamas. I definitely wouldn't call this a forecast because we haven't had much consensus thus far about that. That's something to note. And then again, right here, you will begin to notice a big old area of lower pressure up here starting to develop, a bit of a trough starting to form just like this, digging down, and this would be the main culprit of lifting all this out to sea. Again, things can change, but the pattern this hurricane season has been very set in stone thus far. And then this doesn't really show much afterwards, so again, not buying that Caribbean signal just yet. Now here is our deterministic AI model here. Actually, that was our AI. I don't know why I called that the GEFS. I guess I need to wake up, right? But we're talking about our main AI model here. It actually does not develop the wave, so that is very important. We can put a bit of an X over this because it does not develop it in time, and it actually tugs it way more to the north than any other model. And you can see that there absolutely no formation whatsoever in that wave, so I'm not even fully sold that's going to develop just yet. We could have a system like Invest 91L that did absolutely nothing, and, well, you know, only time will tell with systems like this, and then absolutely nothing afterwards. A very quiet, dead Atlantic, according to the AI model. This is our actual GEFS model here, or ensemble, I should say, and this looks a lot more realistic, showing just not really much development with this system. A few members in there, but really not much. It does curve out to sea there, because as you can see, again, I'm going to keep highlighting this. We do have our trough right within here, and this is doing right like this. So again, I do think this would more than likely go out to sea, but things can change. In the Caribbean, a little more development, but again, just not enough to really put me on that train just yet. All right, we're going to get, I guess, a little bit desperate here, a lack of words there, and look at our GEFS members here, our extreme long range, that is, and you can already see our older model run actually had things a lot further south in your Caribbean, but they have since shifted all the way over here, so you can see we have considerably shifted off to the northeast as of late, and that does not surprise me as this pattern prevails. And it shows a ton of Caribbean systems forming. I don't really buy this. This is a little bit outrageous and continues that signal. Again, this seems a little bit too aggressive as of now, so really do not buy this just yet, but common trend here, again, everything just seems to get ripped off to the northeast like this, so anything in the Caribbean, could that also maybe miss US? Only time will tell, right? But again, it's a pattern we've been in. Now for our main deterministic GFS model, again, you don't really have to say too much. It does exactly what you'd expect. But then something forms in the Caribbean, and look at that right there. Category 2 hurricane. Not a forecast. This is way over 10 to even 15 days out. Do not trust this. So again, that is not to be trusted. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put a big old red X right there. Do not look at that on your screen. Now, could things turn more favorable potentially in the Atlantic? Well, we're looking at it here. We have a very strong tropical upper tropospheric trough right within here that is providing a ton of wind shear across the Caribbean, and a very active gyre region right here that is spilling even more wind shear into the Caribbean, and even more wind shear into the Gulf, and even more wind shear into the open Atlantic. Extremely unfavorable conditions out there for tropical development, unless you're directly right within this tiny area of your MDR where we could see our next system form. And this continues on through this. Tut cell goes absolutely nowhere, and just complete unfavorability across the area. Gulf sheared to death right there. Your gyre doesn't really matter. Sheared to death everywhere. I really don't see much else forming in the near term, especially in the Caribbean. We'll have to wait for that. And dry air is going to continue across the Atlantic as you keep getting wave breaking right up through here. Keep getting your systems that keep developing, up into this area here and dumping a ton of dry air down through Africa, down through your main development region, and into your Caribbean and into your Gulf. Plus the frontal systems you'll have going this way. My goodness, just close it off already. This does not look favorable for tropical development. And just a few little moisture pockets again with your gyre systems down here could get a little more active, but I just have a lot of doubts as of right now. And the models are trying to show a magical burst of rising air in your upper level atmosphere here across your Atlantic, shaded in your green colors here, so we'll have to watch that. But it only lasts for around a week, and then you get all this dry arid subsidence moving back off into the Atlantic again. The pattern we've been in for the past month, pretty much. The GEFS, really no changes here, shows it a little more aggressive though, so we'll have to watch that. But then again, lots of dry air following suit, so we're kind of running out of time here. The thing is the Atlantic hurricane season is technically average right now. Could it go above average? We'll have to wait and see, but things are not really looking too favorable. You might have a small window, and then it's going to slam shut at the last second. That being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit shorter because the level of concern is currently a lot lower than it was a few days ago when Bermuda was getting absolutely hammered with Imelda. That was not a fun time on that little island, let me tell you much. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share this with friends and family on social media, and even leave a comment in the section below if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining and especially informative to you all. And I'll likely see you all again tomorrow as we do talk about the tropics a little more, and this, we'll have to see what this winds up doing, though don't really expect too many impacts of yet. Have a wonderful night, everyone.